Had kind of a time with this forward baggage compartment door. I'd cut the first piece to put that hinge on, with the hinge here and then the hinge going up and the door just coming down to the top of this frame piece here. After checking out the rear baggage compartment door, the upper one, I decided I wanted to do it so that the door overhung this piece here and it hinged the other direction. So anyway, I'd cut that first piece too short for that. So I got the template and I cut another piece. Well, apparently I cut the piece with the template on it because it was too short too, so I had to cut another one. And I got it right now. It's cut out pretty good. I still need to trim it up so that it's inside this frame when I'm done, except for the top up here. But I've got the hinge laid out here to go on there. Actually, it goes like this. And I've got the holes drilled out through the frame to put the nut plates on. They're all drilled out, and got them countersunk for the rivets. And so now I'll go ahead and put those nut plates on there. I got 8 number 4 nut plates in that little stretch. It might be overdoing it, but if something's worth doing, it's worth overdoing. My thought process there is that this is a pretty good sized plate coming down there. This door is a pretty good sized area, and so there's just a small section of hinge there that's going to support that when that door is open, although there shouldn't be any load on it. And I couldn't get to the outside because of these diagonals going up here, so I had to have my nut plates in a little ways from the outside edge. Well, anyway, I wanted as much support on there as I could get for that little short section, so those are all put in. They went in pretty easy. I was able to put them in with my finger. The other ones on the upper door I had to put in with some pliers and finagle them around to get them in there, but these went in pretty good. And they're just cherry rivets, flathead cherry rivets in there holding them in. This door is cut out. I've got holes piloted in here for I've got the holes in the hinge here, and then I just run through and marked them with the drill. I haven't drilled them out yet on the door skin. Got the skin cut out to its final shape, final dimension. I'll need to round these corners off and stuff. Put a little bit of a bend there in the door skin. So I'll go ahead and roll an edge on that. Just fold an edge over like I did on the other door. The forward baggage door is all shaped. Got a nice rounded over, rolled over edge here. It's all cut to the right size, set up there. Got a little bit of a bend in it here to match up with the fuselage. Hit time, I'll take that off and take it down to the shop and paint it with polyfiber paint primer like I did the other one. Got the forward baggage compartment door ready to go to rivet. You got it all painted up, both the hinge and the door, and I've got them drilled out to the number 40 size holes and all countersunk on the hinge, and cleat on, and it's ready to rivet up. I've got a bunch of rivets there all sheared already, all cut already to the right size, ready to start compressing them. Now, I did do something on this one I probably should have done on the other one, and for doing on anything that you're worried about corrosion on, but I went and put some fresh paint between the two of them before I cleat coat them together. And then to really do a job for anti-corrosion, put a little bit of paint in each one of these rivets holes before you set the rivets in there. Put the rivets in there, and then that seals it up pretty good. Well, this isn't making near as much as a mess as I was afraid it was going to. I'm using some polyfiber primer, the epoxy primer that I mixed up about a week ago, maybe a little longer, to paint the vertical fin with. And I had more paint than I needed, but I wanted some down here or up here in the basement to paint up some of the mistakes, the scratches and things like that on the airframe and places on there after I put the fin on. So I brought the excess up here to the basement and I covered it up with a piece of tin foil and stuck it in the refrigerator. It's kept in there pretty good. It's pretty thick right now, and it's got stuff on the bottom of it that's really sticky, lumpy. but I just got a little piece of welding rod here that I cut off to use for a stir stick. And like I said, that stuff's pretty thick. I just wipe that off and just take and dab it here in the countersinks for the rivets. And when I put the rivet in, then that's going to carry some of it through, but it's going to get fill in that space between the rivet and the aluminum, the hinge, but it's going to seal that up really good. There's the rivet, the hole, and it's got a little bit of paint around it, and there's the shank of the rivet under there, and it carried some of it through, and the shank has got paint on it. So I'll go ahead and squeeze that rivet. See, it didn't hardly, just a little dab comes out around there. I got a little bit on the rivet sets, but it's not making near as much of a mess as I was afraid it was going to. Now when we're doing floats, this isn't nearly as bad as doing floats. When doing floats, I used to coat these holes with zinc chromate paste, and each one of the rivets with zinc chromate paste, and put them in, and we'd have a heck of a mess then. That's not near as bad as doing it with PRC 5200 that we use now on the floats. That stuff is a little bit, goes a long ways on it. And I just give a little spin on this rivet set just to make sure and get a nice smooth round set on that bucktail on there. Okay, that one's all done, and it cleaned up real good. There's not near as much mess on it as what it looked like. So that's how you make a good seaplane joint. Make sure that both parts are primed before you put them together. Drill the holes out, and then put primer or paint in each one of the cavities or holes when you before you put it together underneath the rivets, and rivet it in. The rivets will squeeze out any extra, so it's not going to fill the hole at the and hurt the rigidity or the strength of the rivet joint any at all. Well, there's the baggage doors. That's the forward one, and then we got the rear upper one here. They both look like they're going to be okay. This is a receptacle for the South Go fastener, and they've got to go inside this channel, and there's a main longeron goes all along there, and that channel is up on it, so there's not a whole lot of room between them, and there's no way to get in behind them to buck any rivets or to hold the thing on or anything like that. So we've got to figure out some way to feed this thing in through the side here and get it to where I can get a cleco or a rivet in it, rivet it up, and then get my fish tape or whatever I put in there back out again. Work on that, see if we can't get something figured out here. I may wind up putting a couple of them down here on the sides just to make sure that thing stays pretty closed, secure, stiff. Can't really do anything on these lower legs because again that has a diagonal going right down through them. And I'm trying to figure out the layout of these South Go fasteners for the large door, for the forward baggage compartment door. We got some restrictions here. This gold line is representative of where the bend, the top of the inside of that channel is for this frame. So I can't put the receptacles any lower than that. They have to be above that line or on that line. I'm just trying to figure out a layout of them. I could have put some down here or one down here on these forward and backward legs on the upper part easy enough because there's plenty of clearance there. But then that brings me to the same problem that I have back there on the rear baggage compartment door, is the receptacles will be vertical up and down, and the wing heads then of the studs would be up and down. This is the old door, cup drafter's door, and you can see that had 5 receptacles just in the top. Now that wasn't near as big of a door as this one. It would have just gone down to this lower section where the fuselage flares out. This one here goes down another 6 inches. Now to lay these out, these are stainless steel receptacles, but the only stainless steel part is this part here. This back part here is still steel, so I've got these little rare earth magnets that I got, and I just kind of snap them on there and get an idea how to lay them out. I originally had these laid out with just 4 up here, and I was looking at laying out some down on these lower sections, but again that runs into the problem with these wing studs being turned the wrong direction. So we want them lined up with a slipstream like that when they're closed. These are receptacles for number 85 Southco fasteners. I could also go with the number 82 fasteners. They're quite a bit smaller. So I think this is the layout that I'm going to use. So then the problem arises of how to put these in here, because this is a closed tube in here. It's open on both ends, but with it, it's a channel. But with it welded to this upper longeron, it winds up being closed, so I have to go in from the sides. So I'll have to figure out some kind of a drill jig, and I don't have a drill jig for these, so I have to drill these out. I got the rivet holes and then the stud hole, the receptacle hole, and we'll have to drill those out and then somehow fish these receptacles in there and pick them up to where I can get a cleco on them and a rivet in there on them. Now obviously I can't rivet them in with standard rivets because there's no way to get a bucking bar in there. I could just drill a big hole on the back side of these and stick a bar in from the back side, but I'm not going to do that. I'm contemplating using those number 82 receptacles instead of the number 85s. The advantage of those is that I can use one of these nut plate layout jigs to lay out the holes for the number 82 receptacles, where the 85s are an inch between the rivet holes on here, and the receptacle or the nut plate jigs just won't fit on that, but they will on these number 82s. This is a number 6 nut plate jig, and it'll work just fine on these number 82s. Still am not 100% sure whether I'm going to go with the number 82s or the number 85s. Well, I guess it'd be a surprise. I've been doing some figuring here. I've had these large, well, both 82s and the 85 receptacles set up here on this frame with magnets. They don't really stay in position too well because the mount part underneath these is stainless steel, and they're going through to the steel. The receptacle part itself is steel. Well, anyway, they kind of slide around on it a little bit. They do hold up there, but they don't hold under any pressure. So I went ahead and lined these all up just above this gold line, which represents the inside bottom of this channel. And then I took a hole finder. This is made for finding holes where you have panels overlapping, where you have a hole in the lower panel, and you have to find the reciprocal hole on the upper panel. And I put this down through here and into the receptacles, and then made a mark on this panel on the outside with a pencil. And I took the anti-wear washer, just a little plastic washer that goes over those studs, and drew a line, run a line on the inside of it, centered it over those marks. And basically what I'm trying to do is figure out what the edge distance, the edge of the hole to the edge of the panel distance is, to make sure that I have enough to support those panels, to support those 85 studs, number 85 studs. And actually it looks like those are going to work out okay. So I think I'll go ahead and set this up for the number 85s. It would have been easier here with the 82s because I could use the nut plate jig for drilling those out. I'll probably go ahead and mark where I want these on the center, tape these on there, and then just use the receptacle as a jig, drill through the rivet holes and make a mark in the center for the stud hole there. So I'm going to go ahead and use 5 of these. I'll put one on center, one on each side here, and then center the other 2 between the center and the outside receptacle.